Hi guys, welcome back to another video on Next.js. In this video, I'm going to be implementing a complete authentication and authorization system using an awesome tool called Appwrite. Appwrite is an awesome CMS management system, not just the content management system, but also it provides a complete user authentication system. It provides a database and we can directly create schema in Appwrite. It provides functions, messaging, and it provides storage for storing over media files like images or videos. So I've seen that many people are using this tool and it has quite a lot GitHub stars, and I'm gonna be implementing the authentication system, and I've already created a video on this tool before this, which I'm gonna show you during this video. So this is the app which I'm gonna be building. It's simple because I wanna let you guys stick to the topic, so I have kept it simple. So this is a Next.js project. It has this home page which is showing the current logged in user email ID, and this is the username. I can go to the middleware. Currently these are 3 routes and all of these 3 routes are protected, and I'm able to navigate to these routes because I'm logged in. And when I will be sign out, I will not be able to navigate to these routes, and these routes are the client components, server side components, and then I'm protecting this particular middleware route through the middleware file of Next.js. I'm protecting this server route because it's a server side component, and I will show you how to protect server side component, client side component, and protect routes from the middleware in Next.js. Okay, and if I just sign out, you can see that it is showing signing out, and I will be navigate back to the sign in page. And now if I click on the home page, I will not be able to navigate to the home page or the middleware page or the server page because I'm not logged in. So these routes are protected, and here it has a complete validations for this particular form, and I can navigate to the sign up page and then the sign in page, and this is everything done by Appwrite. And I've created the schema for the user and linked the user schema with the authenticated module of the Appwrite. And also I will show you how to integrate social login providers. This is also provided by Appwrite. So I will click on the login with GitHub, and it will navigate us to the GitHub page where we first need to navigate to the GitHub and allow it to access over GitHub account. And then once we allow it, we will be able to navigate to that. My GitHub account using the same email ID, that's why it's showing the same email ID, but still it's using the GitHub account for logging into my application. Okay, so this is the complete authentication authorization system which I'm gonna be building. So let's get started. I'm gonna be creating a new Next.js project from scratch and start off setting up the layout, and I will be showing you how to set up this UI as well using the Next.js Tailwind CSS and proper project architecture. Okay, so I've opened up VS Code with an empty folder inside it. So in the terminal, I'm going to create a new Next.js project. So I'm going to write npx create next app at latest and space dot because I don't want to create a new folder inside it. So I'm going to hit enter. It's going to ask me a few questions. So let's select TypeScript, ESLint, Tailwind CSS, source directory, no. App router, yes. Turbo pack, no. We don't need turbo pack for this kind of project. No for import alias. So it has created this. It is showing me some kind of error like this, but let's ignore. Let's see whether we are able to run the project. So npm run dev. So there is an error. So let's first install all the dependencies because I can see there is no node underscore modules folder and there is no package log file as well. Okay, so it's going to download all the dependencies. So meanwhile it is getting downloaded, let's go to my channel, and this is my channel. And if you go to the playlist, let me open up the Next.js tutorial full playlist and Next 14 tutorial full playlist. Let me open this up. And now here you can see that I've created 11 videos in Next.js. These are all about the Next.js 15 version. Okay, and you can see that I have covered up pretty much every topic for you to understand how Next.js works. These are my favorite videos, all about routings and layouts in Next.js 15. Next.js 15 caching explained. So you know that the caching have been changed between Next.js 14 and 15. So you can watch this video, and I've created other videos as well in Next.js like the hydration conversion error is very common. There are 3 ways to fix the errors: building up forms, and also creating this blog application using Appwrite. In this particular video, I have shown you how to create the blog application with the categories so that you can create the schema within Appwrite, how to create relationship between the blog model and the category model, and you can build a complete blog category application. And if I go to the next playlist, which contain 44 videos, don't get confused because of the version, because both 14 and 15 version using app directory structure, so you can still follow Next.js 14 tutorials to implement it in your Next.js 15 project. So in this particular playlist, you can see that I've created a lot of videos on authentication as well as other topics. So authentication includes Clerk, Auth0, Lucia Auth, Next Auth, Auth.js v5, project-based videos, e-commerce, blog applications, protection of the routes, weather apps, CI/CD using the Docker, continuous integration, multiple videos on these kinds of topics, debugging, security, creating the full-fledged backend REST API, Next.js, and a lot of such videos. And if you learn a complete playlist from my tutorial series of this, then you will be able to know pretty much every topic of Next.js, and you will be able to build a large enterprise level big application using Next.js technology. So you can see that I'm putting a lot of effort building these videos for you guys. So if you can subscribe my channel, I'll be really thankful to you guys. And also if you need any development services from me, you can contact me on my LinkedIn. I've given the link of my LinkedIn profile in the description of this video. So let's get back to our VS Code. So currently you can see that our project is initialized with all the dependencies. So let's run the project, npm run dev, and let's see if it runs. Yes, it has started running on port localhost 3000. Let's go over here, and currently it's still showing the old UI which I had the project which is already running. So I'm going to refresh this page so that it shows a new Next.js 15 project page. So our project is running now. It's time to configure our layout and set up the navbar and the internal content for the authentication. So I'm expecting you guys to already know how to write HTML, CSS, and some of the Tailwind CSS, so that I don't waste your time and my time to write each and every HTML element from scratch. Instead, where it is required, I'll just copy pasting few code snippets for the UI, so that it saves over time and we are able to complete this tutorial as early as possible. Okay, so this is the app directory, and this is the page.tsx file, and all the content which is visible over here is coming in from this particular file, and this is automatically becomes the home route. Okay, I hope that you already know how to structure Next.js. If you don't, I've created a separate video. I've just shown you everything about routings and layouts in Next.js 15. You can check that out. It is a little bit more than 1 hour video, but you will be able to learn everything about Next.js files and routings and layouts. Okay, so first of all, let's go into the layout. In fact, I'm going to create a new folder. First of all, let's create the components folder. Inside it, I'm going to be creating reusable components like the login page component, the navbar, the content inside it. But first of all, let's create another folder here. And this is going to be the lib folder. So, and what else we need? We will be needing actions folder. So I'm going to create actions folder now. We might need hooks or providers, but let's leave it for now. So inside the components, I'm going to be creating a new file, and this is going to be the navbar.tsx. So I'm using an extension RAFCE, so it's going to initialize my navbar. And here, rather than the div, let's initialize it with the navbar. And I'm using the Superman1 extension of VS Code, which is quite an awesome AI extension. It helps you suggest the code using an AI. So I'm going to hit tab. Okay, so let's change it to nav, and let's see whether it has added something right. Sometimes it is not able to understand the context, so let's remove it. I don't want any of these, but if we start writing some of the code, then it suggests correct codes. Okay, so let's add the BG background and width full, flex, and items center. Okay, so now inside it I'm going to add another div. So this div is going to be containing the top content. So let's add the class name and then flex width full, items center, justify between, and margin y 4. Okay, inside this div let's add the home link on the navbar and also middleware and the server links. Okay, although those pages does not exist, so I'm just simply going to paste this out to save our time, and let's bring in the next link from the link. All right, so after saving this file, this is going to show it like it. So outside this particular div, I'm going to add another div, and this is going to show the top right side sign in button, and then after sign in, user should be able to see its username and the sign out button after that, but the authentication is not done yet. So I'm going to add the class name flex item center, and let's add the gap x5. Okay, uh, now inside it I'm going to be coming back, but right now I only need to show this login page. I will be updating this particular code based upon user is logged in or not. If user is not logged in, then I'm going to show the login button. Otherwise, if user is logged in, then I'm going to show the logout button and the username. Okay, so for now, let's save this file and let's go to the layout file runs before every route. This is the layout which you manually built in React. So every route content coming in the children, so I want to show the navbar in all the routes. So above the content of every route I can show the navbar which I just created. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to wrap this children with a div. So let me copy the div content, okay, so that we can save our time. All right, so this is going to bring in everything at the center of the page. So this is it. Let's see what we have. So it is already at the center because of the page.tsx file. I'll be modifying that. But at the top, I want to show the nav bar. So above children, I can bring in the nav bar which I have just created. So this is coming in from this. So if I save it, in fact, what I can do is, let's see over here. So you can see that our navbar is visible, which is looking quite cool. If we click on it, it will navigate to a particular route, but those routes does not exist yet. These routes, the middleware route, server route, sign in route, and obviously we are already at the home route, so that is fine. We can click on the home, but it's showing this scroll. I don't want to show that. So for that, what I can do is, actually I'll be modifying page.tsx file, but first of all, let me wrap the children within another div. And here I can simply write flex grow. So let's cut and paste, let's save it, and let's go over here. Let's see. So currently it's showing this. What I need to do is, this is because of the content of this page.tsx file. So here in the page.tsx file, I'm simply going to replace everything which I have over here. So let me remove everything. And let me copy the code snippet. So currently this email won't be visible, so I'm simply going to comment this out for now. Let's remove, this is not required. So let's save it. Let's see if landing page is visible on the center of the page or not, and there should not be scroll on the page. All right, so there is no scroll, and if I just zoom in, zoom out, and you can see that our container is working perfectly fine. Okay, so we are set up with this landing page. Now let's quickly create other routes so we are able to navigate to the middleware server, these sign in, sign up pages. So inside the app folder, I'm going to create a new folder. So first of all, let's create a middleware route. Okay, and inside the middleware route, I need to create page.tsx file. So whatever we give the name to the folder, it becomes the new route. Okay, so inside it, middleware route, I can actually initialize it with rafce, and let's change it the file name middleware. And inside this particular div, I'm also going to replace it with the main. Let me copy the snippet. It's so simple. Let me comment this out. I'll come back to this once I'll implement the authentication. So I'm just simply setting up the layout for the pages. Okay. So we have the middleware route exists now. Let's create another folder, and this is going to be the server folder. And if I create page.tsx file, it will become the route. Okay. So now inside the server, I'm going to actually RAFCE. All right. Let's change the name of it to the server. And just like the snippet I added in other pages, I'm going to replace it over here. The title is different. Okay. This is going to represent where what is the content is visible. Okay. So now let's see if we are able to navigate to the other routes. If I click on the middleware, yes, we can see, and the route is changed in the URL as well. If I click on the server, and I'm able to navigate to the server route. Now, if I click on the login, I should be able to navigate to the login page. So let's quickly create the login and sign up pages as well. So now inside this, I'm going to create a sign in page, and then I'm going to create the sign up route as well. Okay, so inside the sign in, I need to create a form, but let's quickly show some kind of text inside it. Okay, so inside the sign in, I'm going to write the page.tsx file. Let's write RAFCE, and let's change the name of the component. Okay, so first of all, let's create the main div. Okay, this is going to be replaced with this, and then inside it, I'm going to add a new section. Okay, so this is going to show the section, and inside it, I'm simply going to add an h1. All right, so let's see. If I click on this login button, I should be able to navigate to that, and there is a URL has been changed. So our setup for the sign in page is done. And below this, we can also add the links. Currently, I'm not building the form, but I'm just showing this. Don't have an account, click on the sign up. And yes, this is how it's looking like. And between these two things, I'm going to add the login form, input text boxes, login button, and login with GitHub button. Okay. If I click on the sign up, it will take us to this route, which does not exist because I created this sign up folder, but I did not create page.tsx file inside it. Okay. So this is going to take similar stuff. But first of all, let me initialize it RAFCE, and let's add sign up. Let's change it from here. And now I'm going to actually copy this and replace this div like it. Let me update the import, and I need to actually update this h1 because I, rather than saying don't have an account, I need to say it. If you have already account, then you can click on the sign in. Okay, and we are from here, we are navigating to the sign in, because if user already have an account, and from here we will navigating to the sign up. All right, let me verify. So here I need to show sign up rather than sign in. This is the title. Okay, so here I'm simply going to add to do. I'll come back here, add form, and here it's a good practice to add to do. Later on we can search the whole project, that is there anything that we have missed. Okay, so we have this sign up page. We can click on the sign in, and from the sign in we can navigate to the sign up page. All right, so our layout and the setup folder structure is done. Now it's time to configure our Appwrite dashboard, create project over there, and configure our Next.js project with the Appwrite and start implementing the authentication. So in the appwrite.io, you need to navigate to that. And here you first need to sign up with your account. Once you sign up, you need to click on go to console. And inside the console, you won't see any project if you are new to Appwrite. First of all, you would be able to create the organization from here. And inside the organization, you can create different projects inside it. I'm using free version, and still if you are learning, you can still use the free version of it. Otherwise you can check out the paid plans of Appwrite. Once you are inside the organization, we are going to create a new project. So I'm going to write anything. So next 5 auth, next 15 auth. So I'm not going to generate project ID, it will be automatically generated. Currently in free version, I think we cannot use any other region, so I'm gonna go with the default Frankfurt. Okay, so let's click on create. So our project is going to get created with this name, next 15 auth. So first of all, without moving, before moving to any other process, I'm going to copy this project ID. Just hover over it, click on copy. Okay. So inside this project, first of all, we are going to create a new file. This is going to be .env. And in this particular file, we are going to add few variables. So first of all, let me add all the variables that we will be needing. So these are all the variables related to Appwrite. Okay, so first one is this Appwrite endpoint, and this is fixed. We don't need to actually make some changes in it. So I will update this value later on. Next, we will be needing Appwrite project. Let's paste it. Okay, let's hit tab, whatever it's suggesting, the Supermaven. So then we have database ID, which we have yet to create. Let's add that. Then we are going to create a new collection that is going to contain the users details. Okay, so users collection, and then we need to add next Appwrite key. Okay, so now let's copy it again and paste it over here, Appwrite project. Okay, so let's save it. And now inside it, I'm gonna go, and below I need to actually create an API key. So here I can write next 15 auth API key, whatever the name you want to give it to, keep it to expiration date to never. And let's go over here, and I'm going to select everything over here. This is something that for this particular project I'm giving access for every operations. User should be able to create databases, objects, auth, function, storage, and messagings. Okay, so let's click on create. Now our secret key have been generated. I can copy it from here, and this is something which I need to paste over here, next underscore Appwrite key. So let's save it. All right, so this has been generated. Now these are the two things which we need to create yet. So let's go to the database, and inside it click on create database, and I'm going to write next 15 auth db. Let's click on create, and now I can actually copy this ID which is for this database. So let's paste it over here. Okay, next thing we need to create is the collection within the database. Make sure you are inside the database, and this is the database which we have added. Click on that, and then we need to create the collection. So let's click on it, and I'm going to name this collection as the users. Okay, so we have this users collection being generated. These are all the collection being visible. Now let's copy this users ID. Okay, so now this is something which we have already done. For this particular endpoint, this is not going to be generated, but this is provided by Appwrite. But you can actually pause the video and just write it down as it is. Okay, cloud.appwrite.io/v1. All right, so I'm going to close this env file now, and now before moving further, I need to actually create the attributes for the user inside this collection. This is just like a schema for the database. User might have email, user might have username, first name, last name, phone number, any kind of details that we want to add, we can actually add over here. Okay, so let's go over here. First of all, imagine that inside this, what are the attributes that we would need. So let's click on it. These are the different types. So I'm going to select the string, and the first one is going to be the email. And the email, let's give the length of it to this. So I'm going to select it required. There won't be any default value. So let's click on create. This is the first attribute that has been generated. Let's click over here, string, and then I'm going to give it the username. Username is going to be of size 100. You can change it if you want. This is also going to be required. Next thing is, so whenever we are going to generate the user are going to get generated inside this auth as well. So we don't need to create the password attribute over here in this database. Password will automatically be generated and all the users default details inside this auth module of this app, right? But in this particular schema, we want to reference that particular user which is being generated inside the auth. Okay, so I'm going to create another thing, and from our code we are going to add the relationship between it. So this is going to be user ID. Okay, so this is, uh, let's give it 1000. Okay, I'm not sure how many length it will have, because user ID will be automatically generated. So let's click on create. All right, so now the reason we are maintaining the users in this particular database as well, because if we have other models as well, like the user might have notes, user might have categories, blogs, products, then we can add a relationship between this user and those models and create the database schema. That's why we need to create this schema for the users. Although this auth is going to be having the details for the users for sign in and sign up. So password will be automatically handled from here. One thing more, I need to go to the database. This is the settings of this database. Click on the settings. Actually, let's go to the collection. Go to this collection and now click on the settings. Let's scroll down inside this permission and let's click on add and click on any, and let's select everything over here, because we want this collection to be able to, anybody with the API key should be able to create, read, update and delete. Okay, so let's click on update now. Okay, so for every model you are going to create, you can actually update the permissions for that particular collection. Okay, so now we are done with creating the attributes. Now if you Google Next.js authentication tutorial in Appwrite, one of the top link will take you to this particular URL, and this particular URL actually give you steps to integrate login sign up in your application. This is not going to be exactly what I showed you as the demo of this project, and these steps are simply going to give us some code snippets which obviously we need to modify according to our needs. And it has couple of errors as well, this articles. I hope they update it, and sometimes it throws some kind of issues and bugs while we're running over it, and I will be modifying this particular code snippet a lot, which is provided by this article. Okay, so once you are reaching over here, I'm going to click on the create project. This project have already been created, and now let's go down, and first of all we need to install this particular package node-appwrite. Let's copy it, and inside the terminal let's stop the server and let's paste it. Let's hit enter. So this is getting installed now. Okay, this is installed. Let's click on initialize SDK. Now we need to create this particular file, which we can copy it from here, and I will be modifying it a little bit. So the reason I'm following this article, because I don't want to waste time, I'm just going to copy the code snippet and modifying it wherever I need it. Okay, so here inside this lib, I'm going to actually create a new file, and this is going to be the Appwrite. So let's create a new file, appwrite.ts. Okay, so here let's copy it and let's paste it over here, and let's go through it one by one. What is it doing? So first of all, this is on the server side. In Next.js, we need to write use server whenever we want to run something from the server side. Okay, so let's remove this comment as well. It's bringing in the node Appwrite, which we have just installed. Create client session. So whenever we want to actually sign up user, sign in, or fetch the data of the current logged in user, we first need to create the session, and then we can fetch the data. Okay, so here these are the variables which does not exist yet, so I'm going to remove next Appwrite, next public actually, and then the Appwrite project. Currently it is giving an error that there is a chance that it might be undefined, so I'm simply going to add an exclamation mark that it will never be undefined. Okay, so now rather than actually having the custom session, I'm going to write Appwrite session over here. Okay, and rather than actually throwing an error if no session exists, I'm simply going to return null from here. This is going to cause some issues if we don't do it like this. Okay, so then we have let's go down. We need to return from here. Then there is a create admin client. Okay, and from here we actually need to remove this as well. Okay, next underscore Appwrite key, I think it still have that next key from here. All right, there is a key. So after all this, let's add the exclamation mark. Okay, so this is returning an account. We can actually return the database and the users as well if we want. Database is going to give us access to all the details of the user. Simple user is going to give us the details for the users. For example, the users that we have. So I'm simply going to add it over here. Let's bring in the database from the same package, node Appwrite. And now let's go up. This is giving an error. Let's see what it says. Did you forget to use await? Although the await is not mentioned in this particular snippet. So let's hover over it. Let's click on quick fix and add this. So maybe we are using async and we are not using await anywhere in this function. So I'll come back to this, although I don't think it is required here. So let's save it for now. If there is any issue, we can remove await, and this can actually go away from here. So for now, let's close it, and let's close .env. And now what I can do is I can create, let's see what it says. So this is something which we have already created. The env variables, don't write next public when you are using the keys on the server side. This is a server side code, Appwrite TS, because we use this use server, so we don't need next underscore public. And next, we have already created the project, and we have already created this API key, and we have already allowed this create, update, delete sessions when we created a new API key within that project. Let's click on get logged in user. So this is how we can get the logged in user by calling the createSessionClient function which we have just added, and check if account.get exists, then if user is logged in. But first of all, I don't want to move over here. I first want to implement the sign up functionality. Okay, so let's close it, and this is the sign up page. Let's close the sign in, and here first of all I want to build the form. Okay, so for creating the form, I can actually directly add the form over here, but I can actually create a new component. So let's create a sign up form.tsx. Okay, so in this I can actually add the form details. So I'm going to add the div. First of all, let's create RAFCE sign up form. The component is created, and inside this particular div, let's add a form. On submit, currently we don't have any function, but let's create a class name. So width full, flex column, and gap equals to 4. Okay, and let's close it now. So inside this particular form, I can actually add the divs. One is for the username, then there is an email, and then the password. Okay, so let's add those over here. So I'm simply going to paste those code snippets. These are pretty simple. It is simply showing this label username and then the input. and then the email label, input, password, and there are different types. I've added these placeholders and the different types and the name with each particular input element. Okay. And now after this particular div, we can have a new button. Okay, so this is going to be the sign up or the sign in. So I'm going to create another component which is going to be called auth button. This is going to take the different type for sign up and the sign in, and on that button I want to show some kind of loading. Okay, uh, so let's add that. First of all, I'm simply going to add the snippet. This does not exist, so let's close that, and let's add a function. This is going to be a function handle submit, handle submit, and let's create this above. So let's add the handle submit, of type React. So let's hit tab from super Maven. Let's change it to event, React form event handle HTML form element. That is fine, and let's update it to the event. Okay, and above this I need to show the error. If user is not able to sign in because of some error or the sign up, then I want to show error that this is the reason user is not able to sign up. Maybe the email is not valid, maybe the user with that particular email is already exist in the database. Then I need to show some kind of error. So let's select it like this. Okay, so update import, and now const loading set loading. When we click on the sign up button, I want to show the loading on that button. Okay, so after that I will also be needing a router from use router of not next router but the navigation. Okay, because after successful sign up I want user to automatically navigate to the home page, because sign up and sign in should be protected if user is already logged in. These are giving errors because I'm not using these variables right now. So inside this handle submit, first of all, whenever we click on the sign up button, I want to actually start showing the loader, and then first of all kinds of errors should be null. Okay, and then let's fetch all the data of the form like this. So this is a form data. I'm passing the event.current target, and form data is going to take all these things, the username, email, and the password with the help of this name property. So adding this name property is important with each input element. Okay, so after this, what I can do is create server action for sign up. This is for our reference, so that we know that this is pending, which we need to implement yet. Okay, so after that, if this server action is going to return some kind of response, it is going to return the result. So if result contains error, then I'm going to set the error result dot error. Okay, uh, else if result dot success, I'm going to route it to the home page. Okay, currently result does not exist, so I need to create the server action, and after all this process I can actually add the set loading equals to false. Okay, so before coming to this, let's create this auth button so that we are able to click on that. So let's create a new component, and this is going to be auth button dot tsx. So inside this we are going to use the concept of use form status if we want, but use form status will only work if we directly call the server action from the form. Okay, I've already created a separate video what are server actions, how we can trigger the server action from the form. You can check that out if you want to learn that. But let's create use form status is not going to work in this particular case because we are separately handling the loading of the button over here. All right, so Now I'm going to pass the type to it. So this is going to be the type, and this is going to be of type two values. This is going to take only two values. One is the login, and then there is a sign up. Okay, so inside this, I can actually return a button, but I'm going to add the snippet inside it so that we save our time. So let's add this parentheses and then this the button. Let's remove. Let's also pass the loading, okay, because we want to show this loading on the button based upon the loading variable which is being passed from the parent component, from the sign in or the sign up pages. Okay, so I'm going to explain you in a bit. So let's take that out. So sign type, and then loading is going to be the boolean. Okay, so type is going to take either login or sign up. This is to show over here. If type is login, then we are going to show the sign in or the sign up. In fact, we can simply show the type directly. Okay, but sign up does not have any space, so let's keep this check for now. So after sending the type, we are checking if the loading is true. The button is going to be disabled while it is processing, while the sign up process is being is done. And then we are also making sure that if loading is true, if the user is signing in or signing up and this is in the process, I'm changing the color of the button to gray. Otherwise the default color is blue. Okay, and also when the loading is true, I'm simply going to show loading on the button. And if the loading is not true, then I'm also going to check if the type is login, then show the sign in, otherwise show the sign up. Okay, so this is the auth button. Now let's come over here, let's uncomment it. I'm passing the sign up and then passing the loading, and I'm managing the loading directly over here. Let's bring that in. All right. Another thing I would like to add is show the error, which is going to be below this particular button. So if error is true, then I'm simply going to show the error. And what is the error? Error is being added over here. First of all, I'm setting it to null. And if there is error, I'm setting the error message over here. All right. And let's add const result equals to null for now, so that we have this null result variable available over here. All right, so next thing what we need to do, first of all, let's verify if this works. We want to see this form visible on the UI. So let's go over here, let's refresh this. I'm on the sign up page. Okay, so let's see if it's running. We have to actually load this in the page. Okay, this is simply a component, but we are not using this sign up form component anywhere yet. So I need to go to the page.tsx file, and inside it I need to actually load it. So let's add here, so sign up form. All right, so let's save it. Okay, let's go. You are importing a component, use router that only works in the, okay, so in the sign up form, whenever any page require user interaction, whether it's button click, whether it's the filling of the form, we need to convert that component into the use client component. Okay, we can make the parent component as the client, but I'm not doing that. We can directly add the used client over here. Okay, all right, so now you can see that our form is looking pretty good. It's showing the sign up, and then it's showing this sign in. I can click on that, it's going to take us over here. Click on the sign up, and we are looking at this awesome looking form for the sign up user. Okay, now it's time to implement this. From here I'm going to call the server action. So let's go over here, create sign up page. All right, here you can see that this has given us this particular server action. It is receiving form data, email, password, and the username, and this is how it is processing the data. Okay, I'm going to copy paste this snippet from here, but I'm going to modify it because I don't want to create a user in my auth section only. Instead, I also want to create a user inside this database as well. So there are two things. This part of code is only creating a user within the auth section of the app, right? Okay, so let's do that. First of all, inside these actions, I'm going to create a new file, and this is going to be auth.ts. So anything related to authentication, whether it's login, sign up, log out, login with GitHub, all the server actions will be added in this particular auth.ts file. Okay. First of all, I need to write use server at the top, because server actions only works whenever we write use server at the top. It runs on the server side. Okay. So here I'm going to create a new function. This is going to be the sign up. But first of all, let's copy it. Let's copy the imports. Let's paste it. In fact, I'm going to add the import so that you can see all the imports which I need. So from lib Appwrite, I'm importing create admin client, create session client, which I already created in Appwrite file. Then I would need cookies in this file, ID query to query the data for fetching the user details after user is logged in to show on the nav bar or on the landing page. Header auth provider is going to be needed for login with GitHub. Later on, redirect. We might need it to redirect our page from the server side, and it's going to be affected on the front end. Okay, now let's copy it. Let's copy this. Let's paste it. So this has become the sign up, and I'm going to change its name. So this is going to be the sign up only. Okay, and form data, since we are using TypeScript, I don't need to write use server over here because I have written at the top of this file. This is the sign up. Sign up is declared, but its value is never used. We are just going to be used now. I need to export it from here because I will be using it in another file in our sign up form. We need to receive email, and then the password, and then the username. But I'm going to actually update it, since we are using TypeScript. I'm going to update it like this. So username is being passed over here, and I've added this as string over here. Okay, and then I actually need to create a user client. Okay, first of all, let's add try block. And inside this try block, I'm going to add the database as well, because this is what I'm returning it as well from here. Let's cut it. Let's paste it over here. And here it is actually receiving the email, password, and then the name. So I'm going to update it with the username because this is the one I'm passing it from here. Okay, so let's cut it. Let's paste it. And now const new user account equals to, and paste it like this. ID, email, password, username. ID is going to be unique. This is automatically gets generated. And now I can add some error handlings as well. So inside the try block, I can add a check if user account does not exist, error creating a new user account. Okay, so this is something which I'm going to do later. Once the user is generated inside, this is going to be generating the session that automatically login user on the front end. Okay, but before that, once the user gets created in our auth section of Appwrite, I also want to create this user in the database. Okay, so how we can do that? So inside this try block, I'm going to add new user equals to await database create document. Okay, so let's select what Supermaven is suggesting us. So this is taking up the user collection ID. This is fine. I will also be needing the process dot env dot database ID. This is something we also added in env file. Okay, and after that I'm adding this id for this. Okay, so rather than adding it over here, I'm generating a unique id for this. But for this particular user, I am also going to update it like this: new user and then the ID, because user ID is the property we added in the schema for the users, if you remember. Okay, email, we don't need password, we need username. Okay, so let's save it. Once it gets added in the DB, we can also check if it does not added and there is some error. We can show user creation have some kind of errors. Okay, so before moving further, since this is showing some kind of issues, I'm going to move everything within the try block. And also let's add the catch block over here so that everything is aligned properly. So once user is generated in the auth section and also in the database, now I want to create a session. I want to log in user on the browser, okay, with the email and then the password. So this is good. And the cookies dot set my custom. So what I need to do is, if I go to the Appwrite, and this is the name which I wrote. Okay, so Appwrite session, make sure you update it for every session which you create. So this is throwing some kind of error that does not exist on promise. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to revert it to cookies.get. Okay, let's leave this error for now and let's see what happens. So from here, this is going to be session.secret path http only strict secure true. So I'm only going to make it secure true if it is on the production. For development, that is fine. Okay, rather than redirecting, I'm redirecting it to the passing it success true. And for this error, I am going to return the error dot message. Let's remove console log. Error does not have the message, so for now let's add any type and let's add disable this. Okay, so our server action for the sign up is pretty much done. Let's go over here and inside it I am going to call that server action which we have created. So I'm going to, first of all, I need to change this to await sign up. This is the server action and I'm going to pass the form data, and await is giving error because I need to update it like this async. Okay, so now it's time to actually test our application. If I try to sign up with the username, so let's see Umair Jamil and let's add the email ID and let's add a password ABCD1234 capital A which I wrote. And if I click on sign up, let's see. Okay, so it navigated to the landing page. I think this is the reason that it got successful. So it means that it reached to this point and now it's time to verify it. Let's go to the auth. There is no user. Maybe I need to refresh this page. Yeah, so I have refreshed it and you can see that this user is added over here, and this is the time when it got generated. This is the user ID. And if I go to the database, this database, click on it, this is the users, and now inside this particular collection it should contain this document. These are the attributes, but this is the document. You can see that it has this email ID, this username, and this user ID which is belonging to the ID of the user which is generated over here. Okay, this is the user ID which I need to copy. It's not visible directly. Okay, so now you can see that we are able to complete our sign up process. It's time to actually implement the login process first of all. So it's already logged in actually, so we can actually fetch the data. So why not actually fetch the user data and check if user is logged in, and also fetch the user details and show the username in the nav bar, and also show the sign out button on the nav bar. Okay. First of all, if I go to this docs, inside it, this is how we can detect if we are able to actually user is logged in or not. But just like I have created this particular call for creating a new document in the database for the user, in a similar way, rather than creating, I can fetch the user data from the database. So rather than actually having a two APIs, two server actions, one for actually get the user's data and another for actually detecting if user is logged in, why not call a single server action that also detects if user is logged in or not, and if user is logged in, then at the same time return us the user data, and from the user data we can check if user is logged in or not, because user data will not be existing, will not be returned from the server action if user is not logged in. So this is how we can do from here. So let's close it, and above it I'm going to actually create a function, and this is going to take export async function, and what is the name? So it's asking us to get logged in user. So get logged in user. All right. So inside it, first of all, obviously we need to create over a session client. So rather than directly adding an account, whatever it is suggesting, sometimes it gives an error. I see many people on the threads actually facing few issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all create a session client equals to await create session client, and now I'm going to check if session client does not exist, and simply going to return null. Okay, and then I'm going to add a try block, and inside the try block I'm going to fetch the account from the session client. Okay, and then I'm going to fetch the account.get. Let's change its name to result. Okay, so now let's create a new variable user. If result exists, have I created two parentheses? Yes. So let's first of all add this catch block so it doesn't throw any error. Now if result exists, then I'm going to append the user with the user details which I yet need to create. This is going to be another server action, although I can directly create fetch the user details from DB over here, but I'm going to create another function. So let's quickly create that. So export const get user details equals to async, and this is going to take the user ID. Okay, uh Super Maven is always suggesting new things. Okay, so try, and inside it let's fetch first of all the database. Obviously, just like the sign up, we fetch the database for getting the data. So I'm going to write const database from create admin client, and now I can actually fetch the user data. User equals to await database dot list documents, and this is going to add database ID, user collection ID, which is fine. And rather than adding the new query, let's add the query dot equal user ID equals to user ID. So this is going to be the syntax like this has to be within the square brackets. Okay, now if user exists, I can actually return it in the form of JSON dot parse, and then JSON dot stringify, and then the user. So user actually contains, this is what the Appwrite provides. It contains the documents, and the first property, first index value is the correct value. And then let's add the catch, and then the console log error. Okay, so let's save it. This function does not have any error, but here in this get logged in user, I'm going to use that function, get user details. So I'm going to write here, so get user details, and I'm passing the result.id inside it. Okay. So after that, I'm simply going to return json.parse and then the user. All right, so I can simply log this out or simply return null from here. So if I save it, there is no error in this file. I'm going to be using it maybe in other functions in sign in. So I would be needing this for logout server action, I think. But first of all, let's use this get logged in user function in our navbar to fetch the user's data. But before that, we need to detect if user actually logged in or not. Okay, so here in the navbar, I'm going to actually check const user, and then this is going to be of type any. For now, I'm going to add its type. So await get logged in user from the action. Okay, so this is going to take as an async function. I'm not using it, and any is not allowed because it does not show the properties. So I'm going to create an interface using the TypeScript. So I'm going to write typings.d.ts, hit enter, and inside it I'm going to create an interface, whatever the properties coming in from the Appwrite, which is returned from this function get user details. Okay, so let's close it. So inside this, where is that file, typings.d, I'm going to add this interface user details, and this is the data type for that user variable which I have created. Okay, so now I can write user details and then the null. Okay, so now inside this navbar, I'm going to actually let's close these things. So typings, this navbar, and now let's use this user. If user exists, then I'm not going to show that because this is the login button. Otherwise, I'm simply going to add the sign out button. So let's add user question mark and the parentheses. So inside these parentheses, let's cut it and let's paste it over here. And after this parentheses, I'm going to have another stuff like it. Okay, so let's see what we see, if there is any error in our module. So it is showing some kind of error. So route used cookies get Appwrite session. Let's see. Let's refresh. Okay, let's refresh. All right, so let's ignore it for now. Currently, you can see that in navbar it is not showing sign in. It means that it is able to detect that user actually exists and user is logged in. Okay, so inside it, I'm simply going to add this user.username. Let's see if logged in user value is visible. Yes, so user is visible over here. And below this, I can add a logout button, which I yet need to create. Okay, so let's quickly add that. I'm going to create a new file. So this is going to be the logout.tsx, and inside it, what do you say, guys? It is going to be so simple. I'm simply going to add its snippet. So you can pause this video and you can watch it. Let me quickly explain it to you guys. This is something which I yet need to create. This is a server action. You can ignore it. Loading button while it is being signed out. And when I click on the sign out button, this is going to get triggered. Loading is going to be started. Call the server action and loading is going to be false. All right. And this is the simple div. This is simply going to call this function. And while it is loading, it is showing out the sign out. And when it is not loading, then it is simply going to be sign out. All right. So let's quickly create this. Let's bring in logout. There is no error in the nav bar. You can see sign out. I'm not clicking on it because it's going to throw an error because the sign out action does not exist. So let's quickly add that particular sign out feature. So I'm going to come over here. Let's see if it gives us some kind of sign out function, create an account. Actually, it does not provide. I don't think it provides. Okay. Sign up with GitHub, sign up page, get, all right. Get logged in user. No. Create account. No. So let's quickly create that. Let's go to the auth.ts and let's close all of these. And let's export that function. So export sign in, and rather than sign in, I'm simply going to write the sign out. Okay. And this is going to return, this is not going to receive anything. Instead, this is going to return the promise void. Okay. So it is actually suggesting me some kind of code, but I'm going to accept some of these. So I'm going to write session client. Yes, we need to create session client. If session client does not exist, I can simply redirect it to the sign in page. Okay. So now I actually need to write the const account and then the session client. Then I would need to write cookies dot delete. Let's do it like this. Okay. Let's select what Supermaven is suggesting. So Appwrite session, and after this I'm going to write await account dot delete session, and this is going to take the current. And after this I'm also going to redirect it to the home page. Actually, let's redirect it to the sign in page. Okay, so now let's see what happens. So let's go over here. Let's refresh the page. We are still logged in. Let's click on the sign out. Okay, I have clicked on the sign out. Yeah, I've clicked on, and now you can see that it showed that signing out dot 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 on the button, and we have navigated to the sign in page, and this is because of this. Okay. And now I can go to the sign up, sign in, sign up, and this is how the flow is working. Uh, what it's showing is await cookies. I think this is something which we would need to add on this sign up as well. This was showing error over here as well. Okay, so now you can see over here. Let's go over here, add await, and we might need to add it in the app, right? So let's add it over here. Get quick fix await. Okay. All right. So now it's time to implement the sign in form functionality. This is going to be pretty much same as the sign up that we have. So let's clean this out a bit. Now let's open up the sign in page. We have this sign up page because we might need to copy the form details. In fact, sign up form. Let's remove the page file, and I'm going to add this new component, and this is going to be the login form.tsx, and this login form is going to be similar to the sign up form. In fact, let's copy it, let's paste it, let's start off modifying it based upon our requirements. Okay, so rather than sign up, I will be importing sign in. Currently it does not exist. So let's quickly add it over here. I'm not going to add the code inside it, but let's quickly add the signature of it so we don't see any kind of error. So let's sign in form data, and this is something like it. All right, so now I should be able to import it. Let's, is it throwing an error? Declared, so it's mean the error is different, means that it is able to detect that particular function. So let's change the name of this component, login form. Okay, do I need to change it below? Yes. So login form. Okay. We will be needing error. We might want to show the error. We will be needing loading, router, handle submit. So this is something we would need rather than sign up. Let's add the sign in and result.error. So it does not exist. So it might be visible over here. So currently result.error, edit over here. Currently it is not returning something. That's why it is not able to figure out. Okay. So success error push, and inside this we don't need a username, I think. Yeah. So email and password, that's it for login. So email, and then the password, and then the auth. So I'm going to write the login type because this is going to detect the text on this button. All right, so let's save it and let's see what we have in the sign in page. Currently not showing. Maybe we need to add it over here. Yes. So login form. Okay. Let's see, now you can see that it's showing the proper form, email, password, sign up, username, email, and then the password. Okay, so now I'll come back here and add a new component, login with GitHub later on. And let's go into the auth.ts file now. And now we need to implement the login functionality. First of all, let's open up the sign up and let's bring in the email and password just like this. Let's close it. Let's come inside, and this is how I'm actually selecting the email password, sending in from the front end. Okay. And then we need to create that account just like we added over here. Create admin client for this account. Let's copy it and let's paste it. In fact, rather than copying, let's manually write the code. So inside the account, let's add the const. Actually, let's wrap everything within the try block. And now let's add this account within the try block first of all. Okay. And then let's write this session equals to await account dot create email password session, and then it's going to receive email and then the password. After that, super Maven is suggesting me these things: await cookies dot set Appwrite session secret, which is fine, path, and then the production, that is fine. Okay. And then after this we can simply return success true. Okay, let's add the try block now, catch block actually. And then let's add any, and let's disable this, although it's not going to throw any error, but just so that we don't see some kind of messy things over here. Okay, so these things we might need it for login with GitHub. So these things are added. Now let's come over here and let's write 321 over here. And this is the password I think already saved. Let's try to sign in. Let's click on loading is visible. And yes, I'm signed in. This is the username for the signed in username. And currently I have not protected these routes. So still when I were not logged in, still I were able to navigate to these routes. Okay. So I can actually click on sign out, signing out. I'm logged out, and you can see that the flow is working. I would like to test it after deleting the user data from scratch again. But I think the flow is working pretty well. And now you can see that the error should be gone from here because success and error are being returned from here. Okay. So Let's close it. Let's close it. Now, before actually implementing the login with GitHub, I wanna let you know that I should not be able to navigate to the home, middleware, server pages. These should be protected, and sign up pages should also be protected after I'm logged in. If I'm logged in, then I should not be able to manually navigate to the sign in and the sign up pages. If I try to do so, it should be automatically navigate to the home page, because once I'm already logged in, I should not see these forms, sign in and the sign up forms. Okay, so one by one, what I can do is, let's come to this page.tsx file, which is the home route. So this is, let's convert it into the client component. Okay, so use client. So in the client components, we can use hooks or provided by React, means use state, use effects. So whenever this component is going to be mounted, we are going to, first of all, let's bring in the router, because we need to detect if user is logged in. If user is logged in or not logged in, then we should be navigate to the appropriate page. Okay, so let's bring in use router from next navigation, and then I'm going to fetch the user details, because I want to show the email ID on the home page for logged in user. Okay, so let's user details, set user details, and this is going to be coming in from the user details. Okay, we don't need to import user details because this is coming in from typings.d.ts. We don't either need to export it from here. This is the benefit of it. .d dot is actually making it accessible all over the application. Okay, rather than directly adding React dot, I prefer importing it. Okay, why is it throwing? Okay, I need to close it. All right, so user details. Now let's add the use effect like this, and this is going to be an empty array. And inside this use effect, I'm going to check if user is logged in or not. Okay, so let's add const check auth. This is going to be an async function, and inside it I'm going to check a user of type user details or null get logged in user. This is what I created in the server actions to reuse it in multiple files to check if user is logged in or not. If user is logged in, then return the details of users as well. Okay, so if user does not exist, means user is not logged in, then I can actually navigate to the sign in page. Okay, I should not be able to navigate to the home page. Instead, just navigate to the sign in page. That first user need to sign in, then they can actually navigate back to the landing page. Now this is done. We are updating this state variable with this, and I need to call this check auth from here. Okay, now let's enable it. All right, so this is how we are able to protect our client side component, which is the route. And currently, let's click on the home. You can see that I'm not able to navigate to that because user is not logged in. Okay, let's try to sign in. Sign in. Yes, this is navigated to the home page and is showing the email ID of the logged in username. How cool is that? We are successfully able to protect our home route. And let's before protecting the other routes, let's protect our sign in sign up pages, because once we are logged in, we should not able to see the sign in page. You can see that I'm logged in, but still I'm looking into these forms. It should not happen. So let's go to the sign in page. And here, this is the server side component. We don't need use effects and these kinds of stuff. We can simply check if user is available or not, then we can simply redirect. Okay, so let's add, bring that in. Let's change it to the async, and redirect should be fetched from the next navigation. And now I will not be able to navigate to the sign in if user exists. Okay, it will be automatically navigate to the home route. So let's go over here. Let's try to manually navigate to the sign in. You can see that I'm not able to navigate to that. It has automatically redirected to the home route. Let's copy it. Let's come to the sign up page. Let's paste it over here. Let's bring that in from that. and let's also bring that in from the navigation, and let's add the async. Okay, now I will not be able to navigate to the sign up page either. So sign up, yes, because I'm logged in. Okay, now let's try to sign out. All right, now I'm able to navigate to these pages, sign in, sign up, these kinds of pages. Okay, now let's protect the routes, which are the middleware routes and the server side routes. Server side route is going to be protected just like I've protected sign in, sign up pages. So let's quickly do that. Let's copy from here and let's open up the server page. Let's add over here, let's add the async, let's bring that in, and this is going to be protected automatically. Okay, like this. And let's if user exists, then I'm going to show the user dot email as well. So let's see, let's sign in. Okay, it's showing email. Let's go to the server side and it's showing the email of this as well. Okay, is it showing some kind of user details, and then the server side. So this email does not exist on type never. So I'm not sure. So we can come back to this, but it's still showing some kind of value. It is the some kind of TypeScript error. Okay, so let's close it, and now let's protect over this route, middleware route, from the middleware file. In Next.js, you know that there is a default file, middleware.ts. Okay, and this is the Next.js file. So it gives us a middleware function which we first need to export. So default async middleware, and then let's close it. First of all, I'm not going to add the code directly, and this is not going to be request, this is going to be next request. Okay, and now inside it we are again going to call the same function, user details get logged in user. Let's bring that in from the auth, and let's add an array of all the routes which I want to protect from the middleware file. Okay, so I've created this variable, and inside it I'm adding all the values. Currently we have only one route which I want to protect. Okay, and after that I need to actually iterate through all the routes and return the value. Okay, so now I'm actually iterating through these things, and if the request which is being passed from here contains any of these values, then is protected is going to be true, otherwise this is going to be false. Okay, so let's add another chunk of code. So if user does not exist uh, and the route is protected, okay, then I'm going to actually navigate it to the sign in page. Okay, from here. All right, I need to import it from next server. Okay, otherwise if nothing happens, I'm simply going to let it go, whatever is we are trying to navigate to. Okay, one last thing which we need to do is whatever the Next.js, this is recommended by Next.js actually. So this is the regular expression which you can add. Okay, so next request, I think this should be of type rather than directly should be imported like it. Okay, so now let's close it. Now we are done with actually protecting our middleware route. Currently we are logged in. Let's navigate to the middleware. Yes, we are able to navigate to that. This is the server page and it should show the email. This is the middleware and it is showing this middleware page. And let's quickly actually navigate to the middleware page and show this data. Okay, we are not able to show that. The reason is that we need to add this thing. Just this, we are not going to redirect, just adding this to show the user details like it, async, and then get logged in user. All right, so let's see. uh, Server page, actually we should add not user. This is why it was throwing an error, because if user does not exist, then it should redirect to the home page. Okay, so now let's see. Middleware page is showing email id, server is showing email id, home page is showing the email id, and this is the username visible. Now let's sign out. Let's click on the home page. No, I'm not able to navigate to that. Let's click on middleware. I'm not able to navigate to the middleware. Actually, protecting routes from the middleware is actually more optimized. So I would recommend you guys to protect your routes from middleware whenever it is possible. So click on the server. I'm not able to navigate to the server page either. Okay, so how cool is that? So we are able to protect our routes. Now it's time to implement the login with GitHub functionality using Appwrite features. So for that, let's first set up the UI. I'm going to add the button login with GitHub below this sign in. So let's open up. First of all, let's create a new component, and I'm going to call it login github.tsx. Let's add RAFCE. Okay, so login with GitHub is added like this. Now let's open up this sign in page, and below this I'm going to add login GitHub. Okay, we need to actually we can actually close this file. Close it, and now you can see that this text is visible. Now inside this particular component we can style it a bit. So I'm going to quickly add a snippet inside this div. So let's add that, and this parentheses. Like it, I need to create this function, and I need to import this one. So I can actually install React icons. So npm I React icons. So this is going to get installed. So this is the GitHub icon. I can actually fetch it from the React icons. So these are fetched. Is pending. When I click on the login with GitHub, it will show some kind of loader which I can actually manage, and it will show redirecting to the GitHub page, GitHub account, to authenticate the user and then get back to our application once the user is authenticated from the GitHub. Because login with social, login with Google, Facebook, GitHub, or any other social provider, we don't need to write any email or password. It takes us to the our account, and we authenticate from there and navigate back, and we are logged in. Okay. Now I'm going to add this function above, like it. Okay, so this is added. For is pending, what we can do is we can use React hook, which is called transition. So this is provided by React. So I can actually bring in from the React, and it gives us the is pending state and start transition. So whenever there is an asynchronous call, we can wrap that asynchronous call with the start transition. And whenever that asynchronous call finishes, and in between that time is pending is true, otherwise it automatically gets false. We don't need to manually change it. Okay, so now inside this particular function, we can actually write start transition, and this is going to be an async. Let's remove it, and inside it let's write the redirect URL equals to await sign up with GitHub, which is a server action which I yet need to create. Okay, so let's make it capital. Okay, if redirect URL is this, then I'm simply going to return it to that. Okay, so let's bring that in. Not router, actually navigation. Next/router was used in old version of Next.js, which is the 11 or 12, I think. Okay, so now let's copy it. Let's open up auth.ts. So to avoid any such error, I'm going to create this function over here. So sign up with GitHub. Super Maven detected that. Okay, so this is done. Now let's see what we have here. We can refresh. Are we running? No, we are not running the project. So let's run it, and I'm going to test the UI of it. Okay, so let's first of all import this as well from the actions. So this is getting imported. Why is it throwing this kind of error? The reason is that that sign up with GitHub is not returning anything right now. So that's fine. Let's close this file. So this particular function is very important. So UR component, use router, and this React hook only works in the client. Okay, so I'm gonna open up the login GitHub. I need to make it client side, use client. Okay, so let's close it. And now you can see that it's looking pretty good. Currently, if I click on it, it won't do anything because this is not returning anything. Okay, so now let's write something. If I go over here in this docs, if I click on auth authentication with SSR, okay, we need to actually enable all the providers from here, but I will come back to this once I add this. So this is the code it is providing to us. So let's copy it. I'm going to modify it a bit. So let's copy it like this. So first of all, it is giving us this account, and then we have this origin. We can have or localhost 3000, what it says, maybe add a weight. Okay, let's do that. And then we can have the redirect URL account, create OAuth the token. Then we have, what is the sign up page we have? This is the sign hyphen up. This is the sign up page we have. And what is the API? So here it should be giving this API, giving us this API. Yes, this is the API which we need to create. So in Next.js, we can create APIs as well. So let's create that. In app, create an API folder, and inside it, I can add OAuth folder. Inside OAuth, let's create route.ts. Okay. And inside this now, we can actually copy paste this stuff. Okay, so this is going to be an account. All right, so I've already added similar to this, so let's copy that. So what is the change from here? Okay, I'm taking user ID and then the secret coming in from this request, just like over here, and I've updated this thing. Okay, user ID, secret, session, maybe it is asking us to start off with the await. Okay, everything is similar, but after login with the GitHub, it is taking it to the account page. We don't want to do that. We want to take it to the home page, landing page. We don't have an account page. Okay, so let's save it. Okay, this API URL is going to become localhost colon 3000 slash API slash OAuth. Okay, so this is the URL. So I need to update it over here. So this is going to be slash API slash OAuth. All right, and after that, we can actually redirect URL rather than redirecting from here. I want to redirect it from the front end rather than from the from this particular function, and I've already done that. I've just written this login with GitHub, and you can see that router.push redirect URL. I'm already redirecting it from the front end, so I don't need to redirect it from here. Okay, so now our configuration is pretty much done. So these are the functions that we have written. Now, one thing we have to do, let's go to the auth. Let's go to the settings, and these are all the things we can enable and disable. And here, these are all the social login providers that we can use: Auth0, Autodesk, Apple, Amazon. Let's find out where is GitHub. This is the GitHub. Let's go over here. Let's enable it. All right. And now we need to add app ID and app secret, which we can create on our GitHub account. So let's create that. And we will be needing to copy this thing in our GitHub account. Okay. So let me open up my GitHub account. From here, I can go and I can go to the settings. And inside these settings, I can go to the developer settings, OAuth apps. And here I can actually create a new OAuth app just to let you guys know. So there has to be like this, and let's add next 15 Appwrite auth. And what is the home page? Let's add this, and this is the authorization URL. Let's copy it from here. Where is that? Let's copy it from here and let's paste it. Okay. Register application. Now this is the client ID. Let's copy it. Let's paste app ID inside the app ID, and now I'm going to generate the secret. Don't use mine. I'm going to delete this application after this video. You can generate yours while you are. So I'm going to just generate the secret, and it's going to ask me to enter the two-factor auth code. So let me do that. So 872. So it's actually regenerating. It's going to be updated. You don't need to worry about that. I'm just showing you guys, but it's going to be updated after 5 seconds. It's already updated. Okay. So now this is the code. Let's copy it and let's paste it. Okay. So let's update our application. So our GitHub should be enabled. Yes, you can see that it is enabled. Now before actually testing this out, I want to remove, because my email ID is same which I've already registered in the database. I first want to just remove this user from the DB. This has been removed. Let's remove this one as well from the auth section as well. So over everything is removed. Now if I manually try to sign in with these credentials, let's see if it throws an error. Let's sign in. You can see that invalid credentials because I've deleted the user. So our error handling is working fine as well. Okay. So now let's try to test that out from the login with GitHub. So let's refresh the page. First of all, our configuration is done. Let's try to rerun the project as well, because we have done a lot of things. We have added APIs and we have done some server actions as well. Okay. So project is restarted. Let's refresh the page. Let's click on login with GitHub now. Let's click on that. Okay. All right. So here it actually asking us to authorize this. I'm authorized, and now I should be logged in. It is back. So login status is not visible on this page. I want to verify it from the Appwrite dashboard. Let's refresh it. So user is available over here, but if I go to the database, it's not available over here. Let's refresh it. Okay. Let's go over here. It is showing some kind of error. So we need to figure it out. What is this error? So actually the problem here is that it is trying to fetch the user's data from the database. Okay. So earlier when we implemented this sign up functionality, you saw that after user gets created in this auth module of the Appwrite, we are actually creating a document in our database as well during the sign up process. But during the GitHub process, we are not doing that. We are simply creating the user instance directly in the auth section, but not creating it in the database. So when user try to navigate back to the landing page, it checks whether user exists or not. User does not exist, although it's already logged in and session is created because of this process that user exists in the DB in the auth section, but not in database. So this actually user details actually is returning the empty user from here. So this is what we are actually using to detect whether user is logged in or not. But although we are logged in, still we are not able to navigate to that because user does not exist in the DB. So there are two things we can do here. Okay. One way is that we can detect whether user exists or not in the DB. Then it automatically means that user was logged in or with the social providers, whether it's GitHub, Facebook, Google, or we can generate a user instance or the collection during the process of login with GitHub as well. Okay. So second option, I'm going to leave it to you guys. This is your assignment. Let me know in the comments below if you have tried that. The first way I'm going to do that, that if user, so let's try to log what information I get. Let's add this, and then I'm going to add the user. Okay. Let's see what I see in the terminal. Let's see what we have. So here you can see that total is 0 and documents is empty. Okay, so I can check here. If total is equals to 0, then I'm simply going to return null. So it doesn't throw error over here, at least for now. Okay, so let's do that. Here I can check if user dot total equals to 0, then return null in this case. Okay, now this function is being called from here. This is where it is being called. Okay, now if this is going to return null, this user is going to get null as well. Okay, and after that I can also check if user does not exist, do not return null actually. Then I'm going to construct the user based upon the data that I'm going to receive from this result, because this result is going to contain the data, whether it's login with GitHub or simple sign up process. Okay, this is the data which is coming in from this model, this auth model, not from the database. So auth contains the data for the logged in user, whether we are logging in with the sign up simple process or login with GitHub or any other social provider. Okay, so let's log in the result over here and see what we get. So I want to see the data over here. Okay, but what we are printing right now on the UI, we need username, we need email, or maybe the ID. Okay, so we can construct that out. So let's see, let's go down. So this is the data, although I'm logged in with the GitHub, but it contains this name, it contains this email, we have this ID. Okay, so what we can do in the interface is that make sure you add the question mark after the optional values. Okay, so that in the components where we are fetching this data, something like this, it should not throw some kind of error that email, username and ID exists but other values does not exist. So I have left ID, email and username without question mark, but I have added the everything, the question mark on every other property. Okay, so let's go over here, and now during the construction process I can actually add an user ID maybe. Okay, so ID equals to the ID, email, result.email, username is not the username, but it's going to be the name because name exists over here in this property, right? So now let's remove it and let's refresh the page and let's see whether it throws an error or not. All right, so we are successfully navigated back to the landing page and it's showing Umair, and let's refresh again. So it's showing the email as well now. Okay, let's navigate to the middleware. Middleware page is showing the email, server is showing the email. Are we able to navigate to the sign in now? No, we are not able to navigate to that. So let's click on the sign out now. All right, let's try to log in with GitHub again. All right, so it is logged in again, so it's working fine. Data is loading, routes are protected. Let's sign out and let's try to navigate to the routes, whether we are able to navigate to that. No, we are not able to navigate to that. So our authentication and authorization is completed using a simple sign up, sign in functionality, and as well as login with Google functionality as well, using an awesome tool or a service, you can say Appwrite. So let me know in the comment below if you are already using Appwrite, if you have implemented Appwrite before, and what do you think about this tool. And if you have learned something new from my tutorial, don't forget to subscribe my channel and like my video as well, and do comment below if you have any question. I'll be creating more videos on Next.js 15 and some more tools, third-party tools like the Superbase, Neon, and building some project-based tutorial in Next.js as well. Till then, thank you so much for watching, guys. See you in the next video.